Bayin, this black hole should be dead. It burned its own fuel until there was nothing left to eat. But recently, James Webb caught it feeding again, and nobody can explain how. A black hole that should have starved millions of years ago. It burned away its own fuel with jets of pure energy. But James Webb just saw something impossible. It is feeding again. 145 million light years away inside the Centaurus cluster. A galaxy called NGC 4696, the brightest of its cluster. Astronomers pointed the James Webb Space Telescope at its core for nearly 8 hours. Using an instrument called NIR spec, splitting light into its exact colors. Enough to measure not just what the gas is, but how fast it moves. Resolving details as small as 30 light years across a galaxy stretching hundreds of thousands. There, an S-shaped swirl of gas, first seen by Hubble years before. Now revealed as something else entirely, a spinning disk, 800 light years wide. Gas inside it racing at 600 kilometers per second. And connected to it a single vast filament feeding it directly. For years, scientists only had a picture, frozen in time. They could see the shape, but not its motion, not its meaning. Because this black hole should have shut off its own food supply long ago. Its jets blast enough energy to stop anything from falling back in. By every rule of physics, it should be starving right now. And yet, the black hole keeps eating. Something is bringing the fuel back. The team believes they finally found the answer, a closed loop. The black hole heats the gas around it and pushes it away. That gas drifts outward and slowly it cools. Magnetic fields guide it into long, thin rivers of gas. Filaments stretching thousands of light years, falling back toward the center. Feeding the disk, and through it, feeding the black hole once more. A cycle of feasting and fasting, repeating itself for millions of years. Nothing in this universe is ever truly lost. It only changes form and finds its way back. The same is true for everything that seems to end. Even the darkest thing in the universe is part of a cycle of renewal. The universe is not chaos, it breathes. And somewhere in the dark, it is breathing in again. If this mystery pulled you in, subscribe. The next file is already open. The loop is real, but it raises a darker question. If black holes feed themselves like this, everywhere in the universe, then how did the very first ones grow so fast they broke our own equations? Less than 1 billion years after the Big Bang, something strange was already there. Supermassive black holes, already billions of times heavier than our sun. Growing in a fraction of the time standard physics says they should need. In the early universe, these monsters weighed almost as much as every star in their galaxy combined. Astronomers found a second galaxy, NGC 1275, with the exact same signature. Filaments of cold gas feeding directly into a spinning disk, just like before. Two galaxies, hundreds of millions of light years apart, running the same hidden program. Three-dimensional simulations built to test if this pattern could be universal. And the simulations matched almost perfectly with what the telescope actually saw. Which means this might not be one strange galaxy. It might be the rule, not the exception. But no one knows where these magnetic fields actually come from. Strong enough to guide gas across thousands of light years with no clear source. Some scientists believe they were seeded in the earliest moments of the universe. Fossils of a magnetic field, older than every galaxy we can see. If that is true, then every black hole feeding this way is running on an instruction written before the first star ever lit the darkness. Some researchers now describe it differently, a cosmic web feeding every node it touches. Not isolated black holes, but a single circulatory system stretching across galaxies. Gas flowing like blood, black holes acting like hearts, pumping matter through the dark. A structure so vast, it took the most powerful telescope ever built just to see one vein of it. And NGC 4696 is just one heartbeat in a system we are only beginning to map. If the universe truly works like this, then nothing out there is ever isolated. Everything is connected by threads we are only now learning to see. Even inside a single human body, the same pattern repeats. Small systems feeding into larger ones, nothing surviving entirely on its own. Maybe that is the quiet truth, hidden inside every filament, every heartbeat, every breath. We are not separate from the dark. We are part of how it keeps itself alive. The universe does not grow alone. It grows together in the dark. And somewhere, another filament is already reaching toward its own black hole. If you want to see where that thread leads, subscribe. The next file is waiting. 30 years ago, astronomers found a puzzle they could not solve. A cluster of galaxies radiating heat so fast, its gas should have collapsed inward in a flood. But when they looked, the flood was never there. In the 1980s, X-ray telescopes found something strange in galaxy clusters. Hot gas at their centers, losing energy so quickly it had to be cooling and falling inward. By the math, hundreds of solar masses of gas should be raining down every single year. But newer telescopes looked closer and found almost none of it. The prediction and the observation were off by a factor of 10. Scientists called it the cooling flow problem, and for 30 years, no one fully explained it. The first clue came from black hole jets, blasting enough energy to stop the gas from ever cooling completely. Massive bubbles of hot plasma carved out by those jets, reheating the gas around them. It explained most of the missing gas, but not all of it. A gap remained. And that gap sat quietly for decades until James Webb pointed straight at it. The filament feeding the disk was never visible before, not to any earlier telescope. It took James Webb's precision to finally resolve gas moving at this exact scale. And when researchers added this newly found gas back into the equation, the missing mass, the gap that puzzled astronomers for 30 years, began closing. Not solved completely, but closer than anyone has ever come. A 30-year mystery, possibly cracked open by a single glowing thread of gas. If this is correct, cooling flows were never truly missing. They were simply hiding in threads too thin, too faint for older instruments to catch. Not one dramatic flood, but thousands of quiet streams feeding the center, drop by drop. A slow, patient trickle instead of a violent downpour. It means decades of data may need to be looked at again with new eyes. Every galaxy cluster with this same missing gas problem may hold the same hidden filaments. A puzzle that outlived entire careers may finally be closing, one filament at a time. Somewhere, a scientist who spent 30 years on this question is reading these results tonight. A question that outlived their patience, finally, quietly answered. Some mysteries do not need to be solved quickly to matter. They only need someone willing to keep asking until the universe finally answers. The gas was never gone. It was only waiting to be seen. And somewhere else, another old question is still waiting for its own filament of light. If you want to know what else is hiding in the dark, subscribe. The next file is already open. Everything we have seen so far happened in other galaxies, far away. But at the center of our own galaxy, something is waiting too. A black hole, 4 million times heavier than our sun. We call it Sagittarius A star. In 2022, astronomers captured its shadow for the first time. Smaller than the monster in galaxy M87, but far closer, right in our own backyard. Stars near it move so fast, Some complete a full orbit in less than 20 years. But unlike the black hole in NGC 4696, ours is unusually quiet. No dramatic jets, no feeding frenzy, just faint, occasional flickers of light. Astronomers believe it is starving, slowly, on a thin diet of scattered gas. Except for rare moments when a star wanders too close and gets torn apart. For a few weeks, it flares brilliantly. Then it goes quiet again. For years, it is the opposite of what we just watched, happening 800 million light years away. So the question becomes, is our black hole simply resting between feedings? In 2010, astronomers found something enormous above and below our galaxy, two colossal bubbles of energy called the Fermi bubbles, stretching tens of thousands of light years, evidence that our black hole once erupted violently in the past. Millions of years ago, it may have been feeding, just as fiercely as NGC 4696 is now, which means what we see today might just be one phase of a cycle we have not finished watching. And somewhere in the thin gas drifting toward our own galactic center, the next feeding may already be beginning. If black holes truly run on feeding cycles, ours may simply be between meals. Active for a few million years, quiet for many more, repeating for billions of years. Some models suggest the next active phase could still be millions of years away, far enough in the future that it poses no danger to us or to Earth. But it does mean something unsettling. We are living inside a system that is still breathing. Our galaxy has a heartbeat too. We are simply living in one of its quiet moments. A pause between one feeding and the next. Every person who has ever looked up at the night sky did so during this pause. Every civilization, every question, every quiet night under the stars happened in this same stillness. We were never outside the story. We have always been living inside it. Just in the calm part, before the next chapter begins. Our black hole sleeps for now, but it is not gone. It is only resting. And somewhere, deep in the quiet, it is already listening for its next meal. If you want to know what humanity has always believed about cycles like this one, subscribe. The next file is waiting. Long before telescopes, before mathematics, before anyone knew what a black hole was, human beings were already telling this exact story. A cycle of ending and beginning again, written in stone, long before it was written in light. One of the oldest symbols in human history shows a serpent endlessly consuming its own tail, a shape with no beginning and no end, only continuation. In other traditions, it takes the shape of a bird, burning completely, only to rise again from its own ashes. Even in the simplest observation of nature, the same pattern appears, seasons ending, only to return, Different cultures, separated by oceans and thousands of years, arriving at the same idea, independently. Why would so many unrelated civilizations describe the universe the exact same way? Maybe because they were watching the same thing we are watching now. Just without the instruments to prove it, they watch stars die, and new ones seem to take their place. They watched fire consume a forest, and new growth rise from the same ash seasons later. Long before anyone measured a black hole, humanity already suspected that destruction and creation were never separate. But there is a difference between believing something poetically and proving it scientifically. For most of history, these were treated as two separate languages, myth and measurement. But this discovery blurs that line in a way few scientific findings ever have. A black hole feeding itself in an endless loop is not a metaphor anymore. It is measured in kilometers per second. The oldest symbol humanity ever drew may have just been confirmed by the newest telescope humanity ever built. Not because ancient people understood astrophysics, but because they understood something just as real. Perhaps certain patterns are simply too fundamental to stay hidden from any intelligence looking closely enough. The universe repeats itself at every scale, in galaxies, in seasons, in breath, in thought. Inhale, exhale, feeding, resting, ending, beginning, the same rhythm, echoing from the smallest cell to the largest structure ever observed. Maybe that is why this discovery feels less like new information and more like a memory, something we always knew deep down before we had a name for it. Science did not discover the cycle. It simply gave the oldest story a new language to be told in. If the universe itself never truly ends anything, only transforms it, then perhaps the things we fear losing are never entirely gone either. They only change form and quietly find their way back into something new. That is not just physics. That is the oldest comfort humanity has ever offered itself. The story is the same, whether it is carved in stone or measured in light, ending and beginning, forever woven together. If you want to know what questions still remain unanswered, subscribe. The next file is waiting. Every answer in this story opened 3 new questions. And some of them may take decades to finally close. But for the first time, we actually have the tools that might get us there. Question 1. Where do these magnetic fields that guide the filaments actually come from? Some believe they are ancient, born with the universe itself. Others believe galaxies generate them, slowly, over time. Question 2. How long does one full feeding cycle actually last? Some estimates say a few million years. Others suggest it could take tens of millions. Question 3. Is this pattern truly universal or unique to a handful of galaxies we happen to look at? So far, astronomers have only confirmed it in a handful of cases, out of billions of galaxies. A new observatory, designed to scan the entire sky, repeatedly for the next 10 years may finally give us the full picture. A new generation of X-ray telescopes is also being planned, specifically to map hot gas like this in far greater detail. And an even larger successor to James Webb is already being discussed for the coming decades. Each one built to answer a piece of the puzzle this single filament first revealed. There is also a deeper question, one this discovery has not solved at all. If black holes grow by slowly recycling their own gas, that still does not explain how the very first ones got so big, so fast. A slow, patient cycle does not match the explosive growth seen in the early universe, which means two very different processes may be happening. One violent and fast at the dawn of time, and one slow and patient, like the cycle we just watched unfold billions of years later. Two chapters of the same story that no one has yet found the bridge between. Does every galaxy have hidden filaments like this, simply waiting to be found? Could our own Milky Way have one, too faint for current telescopes to detect? Is the entire cosmic web quietly feeding every black hole inside it all at once? And what happens billions of years from now when the gas finally runs out for good? No one has these answers yet, not fully. But for the first time in 30 years, we finally know which questions to ask. And that, in science, is often the hardest part. Somewhere right now, a student is choosing astrophysics without knowing they might spend their career chasing this exact question. The same way someone else spent 30 years chasing the one we just answered. Not knowing an answer is not the same as failure. Sometimes it is simply the shape curiosity takes before it finds its telescope. The universe is patient. It has been answering questions for billions of years. It will still be here when we finally ask the right one. This is the last piece of the puzzle before we close this file completely. Subscribe, the final chapter is next. A black hole that should have starved millions of years ago. It burned away its own fuel with jets of pure energy. 6 chapters ago, that single sentence was where this file began. We found a disk of gas 800 light years wide, feeding a monster that refused to die. We followed the thread outward into a web connecting galaxies we had never linked before. We reached back 30 years into a mystery that outlived entire scientific careers. We came home and found the same quiet pattern, sleeping at the center of our own galaxy. We discovered that humanity had already told this story long before any telescope existed. And we counted the questions still left open, waiting for instruments not yet built. 6 chapters, one thread, pulling all the way through. Every piece feeding into the next, the same way the filament feeds the disk. The same way the disk feeds the black hole, And the same way, one small discovery quietly fed an entire story we did not know we needed to hear. Not everything in this story has been answered. The origin of the magnetic fields, the full timeline of the cycle, the bridge between fast growth and slow feeding. These gaps are not failures. They are simply where the next filament has not arrived yet, and somewhere in a lab, or an observatory, or a mind not yet born, that filament is already forming. This file does not truly close. It only pauses, exactly the way the black hole itself does, feeding, resting, and feeding again. If there is one idea worth carrying out of this entire file, it might be this. Nothing that seems finished is actually finished. Not a black hole, not a question, not a story. Everything simply finds its way back into motion. The monster that should have starved was never actually alone. It was connected to a thread that was connected to a web that was connected to every galaxy watching, including us. Whoever is watching this right now is also part of that same thread, curious enough to follow a single filament of light across 7 chapters and 800 light years. That kind of curiosity does not end when the video does. It simply cools, drifts, and waits for the next thread worth following. This file is closed, but the archive is not. There is always another filament waiting somewhere in the dark to be found. If this journey mattered to you, subscribe and open the next file whenever you are ready.